Welcome back. On this, day 6 of Operation Epic Fury, the Pentagon releasing new video showing an American submarine entirely taking out an Iranian warship off of the coast of Sri Lanka, the first strike of its kind since World War II. The U.S. military deploying Lockheed Martin's long-range precision strike missile for the first time in combat against Iranian targets. And the Gulf Cooperation Council, meanwhile, is calling an emergency meeting today on how to deter ongoing Iranian aggression. This comes as Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said that the U.S. will take complete control of Iranian airspace. Meanwhile, the Senate voting to reject a war powers resolution that would have blocked President Trump from ordering further military strikes without congressional approval. Republican Senator Rand Paul voted to support the bill, while Democrat John Fetterman voted it down, as he first told me that he would. The House is now expected to vote on its own version later today. Joining me now is Oklahoma Senator James Lankford, a member of the Senate Homeland Security Committee. Senator, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Give us your sense of that vote and what your assessment is of this war in Iran.
Yeah, entirely appropriate to be able to have the vote and to make it very, very clear we do support the troops that are in the field. We do understand their mission is critical to American national security. This is 47 years of Iran threatening us. We've had sanctions on multiple people for decades now. We've had multiple UN resolutions. We've had all kinds of inspectors trying to be able to get in to stop their nuclear program. Nothing has worked. The president's tried extensive diplomacy, even dropped missiles right down their chimney to be able to stop them in their nuclear program, which they just promptly restarted from ground zero again. So this regime has attacked Americans in the region more than 180 times just since 2023. At some point, we have to make them stop. And so in the middle of this conflict right now, we've been very, very clear. We want the president to finish the mission.
And of course, the issue of defense spending and replenishing our stockpile comes up. The White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt gave us an update on the U.S. military's defense stockpile. She said the White House has more than enough to keep Operation Epic Fury going. Top executives from U.S. defense contractors, including Lockheed Martin, RTX, L3 Harris, all set to visit the White House tomorrow to discuss the potential ramping up of weapons production. What do you want to see there, Senator?
Yeah, there'll be a supplemental request that will come in to ask Congress, do you want to be able to continue funding on that? That'll be the real moment for us to be able to have a decision point. But we've been very, very clear. The United States is prepared to be able to stop Iranian aggression. That's what this is all about. It's preventing their Navy from mining the Strait of Hormuz and cutting down commerce through that area. It's stopping their nuclear program, and it's stopping them from having ballistic missiles to be able to attack Americans that live in the region over and over again, as they have. So they're working with great precision to be able to accomplish those three main goals, and they will get the job finished.
And I spoke with your colleague, Senator Joni Ernst, about the potential of a supplemental defense package. Here's what she told me this week. Watch this. And will you be talking with your colleagues about a defense supplemental package in the coming weeks?
Yes, and that is possible, Maria, but what I will say is that the president did want to increase defense spending in this upcoming year. It is something that many of us are very, very supportive of. We would love to see that $1.5 trillion as it goes to our War Department and making sure that we're defending the homeland. So absolutely, these are conversations that we will have. We need to develop greater capabilities and getting those munitions put forward as quickly as possible, building those platforms as quickly as possible, and not just for the United States of America, but also being able to supply our friends and allies as they take on greater burden sharing. And that is incredibly important as we look at our partners through the Middle East.
I'll tell you, Senator, I don't know how you're going to get your colleagues on the left to agree to a $1.5 trillion defense budget for 2027, which is what the president wants, which is what we may very well need, when you can't even get them to open the Department of Homeland Security. The House is set to vote on a GOP-backed bill to fund the department today, and the measure is largely unchanged from the one passed in January, expected to clear the lower chamber. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem was on the Hill yesterday. She's defending the department's actions in her first congressional testimony since the 2 deaths of 2 protesters in Minneapolis. Watch this.
Our officers are all trained for situations to where they're interacting with the public and where they are detaining someone or arresting them. What I would say is they always goes with their presence is when the enforcement action begins, the officer's presence, and then verbal commands. If an individual doesn't respond to verbal commands, then they go to soft techniques. which you see utilized throughout the country, and our officers follow that protocol and are trained in that protocol.
So, Senator, what are you going to do to get the department open?
Well, right now it's try to convince our Democratic colleagues that ICE is not a bigger threat than Iran. They want to be able to shut down and protect the Ayatollah. At the same time, they want to actually close down ICE. So it's bizarre to me, the side-by-side of this, that Iran's okay and ICE is bad. So what we're trying to do is very, very simple. Let's just do funding for FEMA, for Secret Service, for our TSA agents, for Coast Guard, for our cybersecurity professionals. Those are the folks that are all on furlough right now, while literally we're at a war with Iran right now. So it is very important that we actually have all of our Homeland Security fully funded. For instance, our cybersecurity issue, we have a third of our folks right now that are not at the desk because they're at furlough. We need to make sure that we're protecting our cybersecurity here in the United States, and Democrats are blocking that right now. So I know they're mad at ICE. I know they want to have open borders. We fought this all the way through the time during the Biden administration, but they need to be focused on what are we doing to be able to protect America and Americans here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're in the middle of a war here, and we're wondering if, in fact, it is safe to fly, given the fact that we understand there are many people who are now going without a paycheck. I mean, Lee Carter is with me this morning. Lee, jump in here, because is this resonating on people, the fact that the Democrats are keeping the department closed, and in fact, this is a dangerous situation?
You know, it is resonating with people. I think that when you look at the polling right now, one of the biggest concerns that people have is that there's going to be something that happens here. And when you look at the track record right now of what has happened with immigration, what has happened with stopping all of the illegals, when you think about the down crime rate, all of this stuff should make people feel more secure right now. And I think it's all going to come to a head right now as we're starting to see in practice the real concerns, but also the protections that have been put in place over the last year.
Yeah.
So I think the reality is actually going to play, and people are going to feel better about everything than they have in a long time.
Well, Senator, what about that? I mean, you're on the Homeland Security Committee. Should we be worried that we're going to see sleeper cells get activated and a potential terrorism issue here at home?
Maria, that's a bell I've been ringing for years now. You go back 3 years ago, I was talking to the Biden administration saying you are allowing in what they call special interest aliens. These are folks that we don't have any information on them. They come from known areas of terrorism like Iran, that they were allowing to come across the border with no ID, no background check, and they were releasing them in the country. They had 70,000 in 1 year that they allowed in. I continue to be able to hammer away on this to say we've got to identify who all those people are. It is very important that ICE is in the field actually finding those individuals the Biden administration allowed in, including Iranians, that we have no background information on that came illegally into our country.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's not forget the gotaways. We saw them on surveillance, that they came into the country and got away. We have no idea what they're here for, what they're doing. Senator, thank you. James Lankford joining us this morning. Quick break, and then markets this morning are lower. We are at the lows of the morning right now. The Dow Industrial is down 267. The Nasdaq down 83 ahead of the January import-export data and jobless claims out in about 8 minutes. We're watching those numbers with Piper Sandler's managing director and senior economist Jake Ubina. He's here. Plus the oil shock following the Operation Epic Fury. All ahead. You're watching Mornings with Maria, live on Fox Business. Stay with us.